Hi, John. It's Sunday morning in Boise, Idaho. I've had my breakfast and I decided to drop you a note, rather a video, uh, since doing texting is quite laborious now. I try to save my texting for blogging. Uh, I hope that you have enough bandwidth to get this. I've made it fairly low resolution and hopes that you would find it acceptable. I'm calling from my man cave, my new man cave, right next to my master bedroom in my home. And that's where Sam used to live. And I have the globe of the world in front of me, a fireplace behind me, uh, sofa, and a variety of things. I'll give you a tour maybe later. But I wanted to touch base with you and bring you up to speed on the political issues that we talked about. I mentioned first, if you can, I doubt if you'll be able to find it on the internet, but the movie about the Cristeros movement in Mexico is very enlightening, very important. Uh, we never saw it in the history books. It just didn't get recorded. We saw the debris from that secondary revolution that started in 1923, but we saw the debris in the generation after that. The people who had escaped from Mexico at the same time the Mormons did in 1912. I was in El Paso for the centennial of the exodus of Mormons from Mexico. I had been down in the colonies and with Ernestine Hatch and her family in Colonia Juarez, and so I know the vicinity down there pretty well. And at the centennial anniversary in El Paso, there was a lot of Romneys and Taylors and McDonald's and a variety of those people that came out. And in our family, the Farr family were close to Grandma Sabin, and they had come out, but not through El Paso at that time. They had actually come out with their wagons. They got out at that time, but they didn't arrive with the early rush of people from El Paso. And there were 4,500 people that came up in that first rush, and they came up on the railroad and came into the station that we're familiar with in El Paso. Basically, they found homes in the town. The mayor welcomed them, and the U.S. Army welcomed them and provided thousands of tents for them at the Army base. But most of them went to a large lumber yard, which did not have a cover from the weather. And their cover was built over them as they camped in the middle of a lumber yard. And so it was a historic and memorable event. I wish you could have been there. I think you would have enjoyed it. The other thing, the movie 2016, you may be able to see that, and you can probably see all kinds of snippets and things on the internet. It was produced by Dinesh D'Souza. Dinesh D'Souza came from India, was born in the same year Obama was. His father, Dinesh, was one who had worked against the Brits in India to gain independence from the colonial forces of Britain. There's so many things that are similar to the early childhood of Dinesh D'Souza. However, everything changed, and in the 2016 documentary, Dinesh points out that who his mother was, who his father was, who his stepfather was, what his early years were like, who his friends were, and who his early mentor was, who was Frank Davis, who was a really hardcore, out and out communist against colonialism. And so what we find here is a man who became president, who we know nothing about, who was in fact inspired by anti-colonialism and has nothing in common with the American way. Dinesh D'Souza, of course, went to his success in another way. He's a university president here in the United States, and he does a very good story. You can get Dinesh D'Souza's books. I'll give you pointers to his website so you can find that out. Things are going well here. Eva and I are having counseling in order to help improve our communication skills. I have a very good counselor who's very, very connected with the thought process of things that happened in the church in the last 60, 70 years. He's been a missionary president or an assistant in many ways outside the country, but with communication with the authorities, and is very, very familiar with the 1978 decision and what it took to pull that off. He was Ron Dent, who is my friend now, is spent most of his time in Brazil, and is quite aware of the Portuguese and Spanish influence. One of the things in discovering that we were all Jews was that Mom told me at the beginning of the Second World War that I should not worry about the Nazis and the fight and so forth, that we would watch the news and so forth, but I did not have to worry because I wasn't a Jew. And so I lived my whole life not being a Jew. However, Mom had friends, Bonnie Armstrong and our family doctor, Dr. Epstein and so forth, who lived in Kern Place and were definitely Jews. And now the rabbi in the Beth Israel congregation of El Paso is Rabbi Leon. And I was always kidded about Ponce de Leon because nobody knew the name Leon. And I find out sometime later that Leon was a province of Spain. And in 1492, the biggest thing that happened in Spain was they kicked out the Jews and the Moors, or the Islamists. And so Columbus was just kind of like a byproduct of that. But because of the new discovery of the New World, the people that were unemployed, having been kicked out, became crewmen on ships. And one of the ships became the first colony in the New World was the Dominican Republic. And the crew members of that entire ship were Jews, and they were the new fathers of the mestizo people of the Dominican Republic. There were a few Moors in there too, and so the Dominican Republic has blacks as well as Jews. And much of Mexico, the mixed population was not Spanish Catholic so much. Of course, the ruling class was Catholic, but those that mixed with the conquistadors and some of the other people that came over were in fact Jews. And so Rabbi Leon in El Paso has kind of become the expert on the crypto Jew. So that's that news. As far as Mitt's doing just fine. As you probably already know, by the time you get this, the convention was put off one day. There was a big conflict, not only with the storm, but the fact that the mainstream media would not put Ann Romney on for her introduction to Mitt Romney as a person. And so the the Republican convention decided, well, we're going to scrub Monday. We'll start Tuesday. And mainstream media, you can carry Ann Romney. So things are working out. Anyway, my voice is going to crack up because I've discovered that I can drink fresh milk if it's lactose-free milk. But then milk, etc., affects your vocal cords anyway. Anyway, John, I'm getting older. I got Alzheimer's. I'm going to die from it. But the good news is the medication works. I'm getting some good hours out of it. Doing the things I love to do. I can go out and be with people and talk to people. I had a great day at the fair yesterday. Talked to a lot of people, politicians. Most of the key politicians are out of town, but the governor now knows me by my first name, and so does Raul Labrador. He's the kick-ass representative in the House of Representatives that took Eric Holder to task for his position in Arizona and some of the other things that he's done. So I feel good about my political connections. Oh, talk to you about your special ops. I've been telling Eva about some of your special ops experiences and so forth. And your comment about not knowing who Saul Alinsky was, and now you know, of course, who Saul Alinsky was and how he figures into Obama's plans and so forth. And when we finally unravel the heirs connection, you'll probably find out where the money came from, or where some of the money came from, that an influence that put Obama into Harvard. Of course, the most of the money came from Saudi Arabia, and that's one of the things. Shiloh, come here and say hi to John, and then go back and go to bed. Sorry, John, but this dog is an orphan now that Sam has left. So the only person he has to talk to is me, and I take him for walks. So he's in here smelling my my breakfast. Okay, back to bed. Anyway, let me know if this is going to be satisfactory for you. I don't know how much bandwidth you got, whether you can do videos or not, where you are. So when you talk back to me, let me know those things. By the way, it's not that tough to do what I'm doing, which is to make a video like this, or that we could talk face-to-face like this with the same quality. So think about it. If you need some help figuring it out, I'll help you set up a Skype arrangement, and we can talk by way of Skype. I talk to Dee all the time by Skype, and some other of my friends. I find it very convenient. You can always tell when somebody's ready to receive a call because they're logged on, and you can see who's logged on. So it solves the problems of delivering letters for wherever you are or what. It's something that I carry in my suitcase when I went to El Paso. I was connected by Skype back home and anywhere I wanted to be. So the camera is very small. You can hold it in your fist, connect it to any laptop you got, and you've got a studio. I'll give you a brief tour of my studio, and then I'm going to sign off. I got a lot more to talk to you about. When I was in El Paso, Jim and Bill and I drove around in the car, and we saw all the houses and who lived there and what they did and which chicks were hot and everything. And so we had a pretty good time, but we missed you. You could have given us a lot of good information, and hope that maybe we can do that again. We kind of had three-quarter quorum family meeting about what my expectations are for my end of life and the rest of my life. Hopefully Bill's going to come and visit me in September and here in Boise. So I'm trying to get Jim out here again too. He's only been here once, but I'd like to get him out here again. Jim has a great relationship with a girl in she's 55, 56 in Albuquerque. Great woman, but incredibly rich. She's a rich widow, and she's one of these women that it can smell pheromones. and Jim can't go out of town without leaving his undershirt for her to sleep with, because she knows Jim's pheromones. So once in a while you find a woman like that. Jim doesn't know how blessed he is that she's fascinated with him. But she's rich, and Jim is kind of plain, and maybe she likes him because of that. I don't know. I don't want to screw up their relationship, but he's got an opportunity to build a great relationship, and he needs a good woman. Anyway, John, introduce me to your spouse or whatever you got in the way of your influence where you are. I didn't even know where you are. I assume you're somewhere in the mountains of Costa Rica, but bring me up to date, and we can have some of these chats either face to face on Skype, or we'll get you a camera so you can make these videos yourself. And so right now I'm signing off, and I'm going to look away till I can find the off switch.